Okay.
Moving forward.
Welcome, everybody. It's good to see that the Board of Adjustment is the majority party in the room. That's a good sign.
We found parking spaces
Thanks
too.
to everybody for coming in. And what I'd like to do is, we've got a few new board members, and let's go start here. And so, just so we can introduce all of us, just start here and just say your name and where you live.
I'm Danny Sharp, and I live up on Kentucky, way up at the top.
Bill Solomon, I live on Assembly Drive.
I'm Martha Chastain, and I live on Appalachian Way.
I'm David Neal, and I live on Appalachian Way.
Yeah. Look, we need to be.
Are we good? Okay. I'm Mark Spence, and I live on 533 McGill.
Robert Selesky, Chapman Road.
Eleanor James, Nisbet Lane.
I'm Arrington Cox on Virginia Road.
Okay. Welcome all you guys. What we're going to start with is we've got, the meeting will come to order, and we're going to start with the swearing in of new board members. And I think Angie is going to sort of, we could split them in together, right? Yeah. So if you guys would,
Go swear
Yes.
come up here and put your hands on the Bible.
So I need Martha and Robert.
Oh, I'm
But you're
new.
getting reappointed.
Oh, my.
And Danny and Arrington and David.
Forgot to put you in.
That's good.
And I hope it's a big Bob.
Is it hot? All right.
Okay. So,
Go ahead and stick it in. On the count of 5, we're going to say.
do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office as a regular or alternate member of the Board of Adjustment, so help you God? Just need a couple signatures.
Since we're newbies.
Thank you, sir.
So, quick clarification, are they using mics now or still the phone?
Both. They can speak into the mics, which will help them project it here, but
Okay.
they're still speaking into the phone, basically.
Okay.
I know. It's lovely.
I guess ideally speak into the mic and also in speaking, Josh is giving me just a quick directive to use the mics, but also use the mic and direct it toward the phone, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Do you want me to date it, or you're going to date it?
All right, you're officially official.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. We had some great training sessions in the last couple of weeks, and we've got some smart people up here. It's great. I'm glad you're here. So the next thing is look if we have a quorum. And I certainly it's like we have a quorum. And so do I hear a suggested motion to adopt the meeting agenda as presented?
You do?
Second.
They're still supposed to be using the mics, right?
A little bit of both.
Okay, we do have one announcement, and for all folks in the community, I believe we have one opening or 2 openings at this point. We just have one opening. So if you'd like to join us, please let the town know.
And just to clarify, that is for a member from the extraterritorial jurisdiction.
Okay. They have to be live in the extra, in the ETJ.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So let me rephrase that, anybody in the ETJ that want to join us. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is discussion of a special meeting be held Wednesday, March 16th at 4 p.m. in Montreat Town Hall to address the special use permit for 309 Collegiate Circle in Montreat.
Eleanor said she's out of town.
I am
today.
out of town on the 16th, so I will not be here.
Right, right.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else, everybody else good for the 16th at 4 p.m.? Did I give a 6, right? Okay, so I think we've got enough to make a motion to set this meeting at 16.
You want us to,
Send
you
it.
want us to wait for you, or go ahead?
I don't think you can wait for me.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The question is, Robert had a question of whether to wait for me to be available, but
If we have a quorum, I don't think it's necessary.
I don't think that's possible.
That's, yes.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move that we set that date for March 16th at 4 o'clock in this town hall.
Second?
Yes.
Second.
Okay. March 16th it is at 4 p.m. And that, we are going to discuss that going forward to change the time at some point. Our regular meeting dates, which is the fourth Thursday, but we want to talk about changing the time earlier.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
you want a motion now for it?
We'll just put it on the agenda.
Okay.
That day?
For them,
For that day?
or for
Yeah,
now?
that day.
All right.
Just put it on the agenda for that day. Doesn't make any difference, right? It's just the agenda item.
That's true, yes, I mean, it's in your purview to make that I guess a general business item previous to anything else.
Now or then?
It's preferable if you discuss and decide on it now, since it is on the
Okay, we'll do it
agenda.
now.
However,
Well, I'm gonna suggest we get it to 4 or 5 o'clock in the day. I'd go 10 o'clock in the morning versus doing it at night.
Can't now, I'm working.
So you can, how's the earliest you can go?
Pardon?
What's the earliest you can go?
4:30?
How about 5?
That's
Now
right.
you're 5,
That's what it
5,
says. That's what it says. Yeah.
5?
those are just proposed times.
Right.
Yes, proposed times at this point.
I move 5 o'clock.
Okay,
I-
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we move the standard meeting from 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock.
Can I,
Second.
before,
Sorry.
can I ask a question?
Sure, sorry.
Question. So when we make moves like this, you understand you're making a move, and that's gonna be from now on.
Right.
Will that ever affect people, if we make it at 4 o'clock and people have to work,
Really?
is that gonna give us a problem?
We'll have to come back. and-
Not us, maybe, because we're all,
But we're saying 5.
I said 5.
okay, fine.
Understand,
Is that gonna be a problem for
I agree with you.
folks that work?
it would have been for us when we were here 3 months ago. This is for regular standing meetings, in other words, right? This is not for,
That's correct, this is for
Just
your
wanna make sure,
regular
Regular
standing.
standing.
yeah,
Right, my only comment to that is, sitting through that last several months, the staff has to be here enough as it is, and to have you here at night, and then to pay all the extra money to keep everybody here. If you got a thing to come before the board, you ought to make the time available, and I'm thinking you ought to make the time available and be here at that
not
time.
if you're working.
No, if you're working, you're gonna have to take some time off to get here versus us coming here at 7 o'clock at night.
I don't think it'll make it hardship for applicants.
Why is that a hardship?
They're working, people can't be here at 5
We,
o'clock.
we are working too.
Maybe you can get for it, some people could.
Okay.
I couldn't,
All right, there's a motion anyway, though.
yep.
Can we, if you want to discuss it further, we can, or we can table that to the next meeting and discuss it, because it's kind of it's a technical issue, not really something that's going to affect this case.
Right.
Are we good to table it until the following?
Do you need a motion to table it?
You've already got a motion on the table, you gotta vote on
I didn't, did I get a second?
it. You
Let
did.
me ask one question. Bill, what's the earliest that you could get here? What would not be,
Well, you're saying you can't get here.
I'm saying applicants, I could,
Oh,
we were before the
applicants.
board like 6, 7 months
oh,
ago.
okay,
I couldn't have been here at 5,
okay,
no way.
right.
My
But you're
wife
saying
couldn't have been here at 5
applicants.
o'clock either.
Oh.
So if the applicant can't be here, it's a hardship for them. I understand to your point, you should take the time off. But I think we ought to be responsive to the applicant too, to a certain degree.
Okay.
Again, I'm a new person.
Okay, so we've
Do what you
got,
wanna do.
technically, under the rules, we've had a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Say the motion again, please. Repeat the motion, please.
Okay, so we've had a motion that we want to change the time of our regular board meetings that are on the fourth Thursday of every month from 7 p.m. now to 4 or 5. Till 5. So the motion's before the board. Are we going to change this from 7, the regularly scheduled meeting, to 5 p.m. on the fourth Thursday of every month?
That's the motion.
That's the motion.
That's the motion.
And I'll just make a quick note on the second page of the agenda. I've just had it for reference, all the fourth Thursdays for the remainder of the year, just so if anyone has a quick glance at that for any scheduling concerns.
Well, we didn't ask, do you guys have an opinion? We should have asked you too, because
You're the ones that have to bear the.
I guess my opinion as a staff member serving and working with you all is that if we have a predictable set schedule, that's the easiest thing to work with. And in terms of the time, to Mr. Neal's point, in terms of fairness and accessibility to any and all potential applicants or attendees, 5 p.m. or later is a workable, I think it's a workable time for whether you're working or not working, or if if there are multiple cases in one meeting, or if it's a long or contentious case, it simply gives you more time in one sitting to consider whatever case it is for you, so.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
so that was, it's okay for 5.
From 5 on.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so,
What was the thought in changing it? I just wondered because
From 7.
it,
From 7, yeah.
what was the thought in changing it? I didn't think there was a problem with it being at 7.
I think in our last rodeo,
But that was so far, I think
that's not a technical,
that's an
that's a
outlier.
technical term.
That's an outlier
I think,
from everything else we have done.
I'll just speak from just a basic capacity standpoint. If you do have more than one case in a given meet, starting earlier on a given predictable schedule gives both staff and applicants and you all more time to consider potentially more than one case in one sitting. It's entirely possible that you could have that, say, 2 variances or a variance and a special use permit, what have you. Just depending on the nature or complexity of it, it might obviously go to a continued meeting after that. But if you are starting earlier, that empirically gives you more time to consider either one case or multiple cases.
Which being interpreted means there's less meeting nights, because you do it all at one time, you don't have to call it.
Yeah.
Right.
Theoretically, yes,
That's the idea.
right.
okay, so we have a motion before the board and a second to move this to 5 p.m. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No. Just 2. It was just 2.
It was just 2, okay.
You still have
Okay, so the ayes have it, and so we will move the meeting time on the fourth Thursday of every month to 5 p.m., including the rest of this year, which we'll modify. Is that correct?
That's my understanding from what you all just discussed and voted on, yes.
Okay, so be it, so moved.
And just as a reminder on the agenda, there is also the item of election of officers, if you all
Yes.
wish to discuss that.
Yes. So the ordinance calls for,
She can't.
that we need to renew, and especially the chair and the vice chair, we need to renew that. I see secretary was on here. Can we talk about that?
That's Angie.
I know that, but what are we talking about there?
sorry, I need to pause for a moment. I am getting, this is the world we live in. I am getting text from 2 different viewers on Zoom noting that the audio is hard to hear. One is the applicant, and another comment is from a general viewer.
I got one too. Can you move your mics closer? You have to have your mouth right on.
I think part of the issue, and I'll check with the audiovisual tech, is that the audio, at least in Zoom right now, my last understanding talking with him about 10-15 minutes ago, is that it is going both through the mics, but most importantly through that phone right there. So a possible workaround is to pass the phone between whoever is speaking at the time.
There you go.
Okay, hello. Is that any better? Can you hear me on Zoom? Can you text Scott instead of can
He's got it.
you can, okay.
I'm getting one yes. One moment.
My person said they can hear Mark
Okay.
and you, but everybody else sounds muffled.
So I think again the challenge may be to use both the mic and then place the phone strategically close to whoever is speaking
Yes.
at the given time. Is that correct, Josh?
Please do that, please.
Okay. That's I realize it's a complicating factor, but that's the factor we're working with right now.
We'll have it worked out by the next one.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to nominate you for chairman again, because you did a great job.
I second.
oh. We'll learn this, guys.
You not do that again, right there. You nominate him.
Mr. Chairman, I nominate you once again to serve as the chairman, because you did a phenomenal job, and we follow your leadership anywhere.
I write that down.
I second that motion.
I call for the question, which shuts off debate.
Yep.
Okay, here's somebody's. Okay, I've been nominated to be the chair. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, now we've got the vice chair.
Have we ever had a vice chair?
Yeah, Ann was our vice chair.
Was she?
Yeah. That means Martha's it now.
Doesn't. I'm not constitutionally.
Okay.
I'll nominate somebody.
I nominate Martha to be vice chair.
Respectfully decline the nomination and
You better say that here.
I respectfully decline the nomination and nominate Robert as vice chair.
I also decline that
I second
nomination.
that.
Did you just refuse it?
Would somebody else want to do this?
Mr. Chairman, has it been moved and seconded yet?
About,
For Vice Chairman, has it been moved and seconded?
I move.
We've already, for chairman, it's already been voted.
I'm talking about for Vice Chairman.
There you go.
the vice chair, it was moved and then denied.
Yes,
No,
but
Robert's the
I
last
nominated Robert.
Okay,
And I'm looking down and say, do you two want to do that?
I'll do it.
Eleanor will do it.
okay, so motion for the board that
Yes.
Eleanor will, be it, and do I hear?
Second. You got it.
Favor say aye, opposed? Okay.
Aye.
Wow,
That was fast.
that was easy. So what about the secretary thing? So what are we voting on, or what are we talking about there?
That fun.
There's nothing to vote on. I'll be here, be your secretary.
That's good.
Excellent. Good, that's done. Moving on.
Okay, next item on the agenda. This is from our friend Scott. I'll read it verbatim. Board members need to block their calendars for the monthly regular meeting day and time. You talking to me? Okay. Unless Unless a special meeting is discussed and scheduled, which we're going to do on the 16th, board members should expect to attend regular meetings unless otherwise notified by email by town staff of cancellation or rescheduling. Board members need to confirm their availability via email to the town staff. So that's a pretty good statement. And so when can we have some semblance of, will this notification come out at a regular time every month so we know it's coming to tell us whether we got one or not?
Sure, so ideally, I would like to know it, so you're working on the fourth Thursday of the month for a recurring meeting schedule. By the end of the first week of the month, I would like to be able to notify you all if there is an application in a case to be considered or not.
Okay.
Yes, so basically by Friday of the first week of the month.
Okay.
Sorry, yes, I would plan to inform you all by Friday of the first week of the month.
Okay, so if we can, if that's gonna then be the schedule, then everybody should get that the first week of the month, and then that gives you a couple of weeks to see if there's a conflict or if you have a conflict, right?
And again, the point being is that there is a regularly scheduled meeting to be calendared. Sorry.
She's just gonna carry it around.
So that, again, the point being that there is a regularly scheduled meeting on the month, on the time, on the day.
And our job is to make sure we have a quorum,
Correct.
and that's especially appropriate for a variance.
That's absolutely
required, which requires 4/5.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, so I will do that. I'll be a good boy. You guys good with that? Okay, so we should have a good idea, let's say, within a couple of days of when we get that notice from you. Okay? Okay. Next item on the agenda is, tonight, we're going to be talking about this variance, and now is the time to see who is going to request standing. Okay. If you would, come up and introduce yourself and speak.
Hello?
Go forth.
Pardon me?
Speak. Both.
Okay, can you hold that? Okay. My name is Molly Brown. I have a house down at 121 Assembly Drive, and I had written Scott a little email about the variance that's being requested for the 6-foot fence around the entire yard at 115 Assembly. And so just to get it in the record, and I can email it to you, Angie, I'm just gonna read it real quick, and then, if that's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And also, I wanna tell y'all, this building is amazing. I love it. I love driving by it every day, whenever we're up here, and it's just, now that I've seen the inside, I'm totally impressed with what you guys did.
It's all Kitty's fault.
Well, whoever did the design work did a fabulous job. But anyway, so this is about the variance requested. My Montreat home is located at 121 Assembly Drive, which is 2 doors down from the resident requesting a variance for a 6-foot fence surrounding their entire yard. Our family does not support a variance that would allow for this fence to be built. The rules are in place to protect our home values and the special appeal of our community. Approving this variance, especially for a home located at the entrance of Montreat, will cause guests and potential homeowners to question whether our community cares about our home values and keeping Montreat special. First of all, this will have a negative effect on all the homeowner property values in Montreat, especially the neighbor homes on either side and behind the home with this fence. The requester knew or should have known the rules on fencing given that they have pets large enough to need a 6-foot fence. A fence like this belongs around the house, out in the country, where neighbors are not so close, not in a part of our community. Second, the approval of the variance could set a precedent to encourage other homeowners in Montreat that might want to do something like this in the future. If a fence like this is allowed to be installed right inside the gate, then how could any property owner in Montreat be told no? Third, the path to and from the gate is a favorite path for our residents and visitors. It goes right by 115 Assembly Drive. This is a well-traveled path, and I'm extremely concerned about the dogs charging down to the fence and barking each time someone walks by the fence. This could be a major annoyance to the immediate neighbors, as well as walkers along the path, especially small children on bikes. Lastly, as a homeowner with a home less than 2/10 of a mile from the gate on Assembly Drive, I feel an immediate overwhelming feeling of peace, beauty, and nature, and most of all, community, when I drive through our Montreat gate. We are all temporary custodians of this amazing mountain community. We have a responsibility to enhance the beauty and nature within the gate. A 6-foot fence built around a home in a house in Montreat at the very entrance to the community is way out of place and would be an eyesore. This is not the first thing I or any visitor wants to see driving in the gate to our community. We have a rule about fencing for a reason. We need to stick to our rules. This is what is best for our community in Montreat. And then just short and sweet here, I think, as I understand it, and I'm no lawyer, so I just did a little research, read up a little bit, but as I understand it, with an ordinance, the applicant bears the burden of providing competent, substantial, relevant evidence to convince the committee that the property meets all the standards for the variance. So the Montreat ordinance is for fencing for residents. It permits a decorative fence in the front yard. The decorative fence must be picket construction and constructed no higher than 36 inches above the natural grade. The fence the applicants are seeking the variance for in the front yard is not a decorative fence. From the information I got, it's a 6-foot wood fence that would go all around the front. And so the way I'm reading this, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, if the variance is not allowed under the ordinance, then the committee should not grant the variance.
I guess, if you don't mind, I need to ask this question. So we're trying to determine standing here. And so you live within 250 feet?
Yeah.
Yes.
I got the letter.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I want to move that she has standing with this committee.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, all in
Yeah.
favor, say aye.
I,
Okay,
The last thing that I'll say, and that's it, the ordinance seems to allow for another solution that doesn't extend into the front yard, which is a 5-foot fence in the backyard. So, that's all.
Okay, so we'll put that in there.
And Angie, I'll get your email, so I can send it. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, next on the agenda, just a reminder, is there anybody on the board? Sorry, yes.
Excuse me. You still seeing people who might want to sort of stand?
Okay, please, I didn't get that notice, I'm sorry.
That's all right, I'm sorry. I was in the back of the room, so you might not see my name. My name is Mason Blake. I'm not sure, I'm not seeking technically standing, but I was involved as a member of the Planning and Zoning Board in redrafting the Planning and Zoning Ordinance, and therefore extremely familiar with its provisions. I took a look at the application
And clearly the application as filed is in fact not permitted. What they're asking for is not permitted. I've advised Scott of that. Scott has communicated that with the applicant. I don't know what position the applicant's taken, but I'd like to reserve the right to at least comment to this board tonight. If I believe what the applicant has asked for is simply not permitted under our ordinance, and provide you that information.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody on the board who feels like they have some pre-existing communication with any of the parties that would not allow them to make a objective decision? It says I've got to say this.
And you're also just wanting to quickly clarify if there's been any ex parte communication.
That was next, but yeah, I'm going to quickly verify, has there been any ex parte communication? And in your training, what is the ex parte communication?
No idea.
Chit chat.
Ex parte communication.
Definition is asking
Okay,
some
so we don't need to have communication with other board members, not at home, on the phone, in email, about any particular thing of any case.
So that's outside of the party, the ex-party.
Okay, yeah, so that's one place. Also, ex parte also involves us during the meeting. So you can't go back in the room and discuss the details of this case on a break. Or if we have a continuance, you can't talk to another board member till 2 weeks till the next meeting. I know that's hard. You can talk to them, but you just can't talk to them about the case itself. Is that cool? Ex parte communication.
That's good, Mr. Chairman, you'll get reloaded.
Question, though, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I did get it.
If you would.
I'm so sorry, this mic works. Talk here and there.
Speak into the mic. Move it in.
I do have a question, Mr. Chairman. I got an email from a homeowner here about the Stutz variance. And it's ex parte. And I answered her and said, I cannot discuss this.
Excellent, your training worked.
I wanted you to know that I had gotten that.
Yes, perfect. Any other communications that have prevented you?
Probably got the same one. My comment was shut up.
I didn't say that.
And you're the pastor.
Jesus said that many times.
That's true, he did.
But he's a Baptist.
Okay, so no other preconceived notions or effects outside of talking out of school?
Such a way with words.
Okay, that being the case, yes, sir.
If you're not saying, do you have a comment, or is that?
Typically, it's not required, but typically, we do like to have that typically at the end, if that's.
Sure.
Best practice is to
I
have all
understand.
speakers, best practice is to have all the speakers have standing. Otherwise, general public comment for anything other than speakers that's standing is spurious.
If the school of government says it's a good thing not to do it, however, it does allow,
That's in your purview, yes.
it does allow. If it's a comment, if it's 50 people, if it's a whole lot of just redundant testimony, and if you have something that's not redundant,
It's not redundant.
let's wait to the end there, if that's all right. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, we're going to to start the evidentiary part of the hearing now. Here's a suggested motion. To grant, deny variance request to construct a 6-foot tall fence along front, side, and rear property line. Zoning ordinance standard is 3 foot max height for front yards, 5 foot max height for side and rear yards. The property is zoned R2 medium density district. Medium density district. The applicant proposes to construct a fence. The property is further located at 115 Assembly Drive in Montreat, North Carolina, as described in PIN number 0710-6455-130000. We'll continue, we'll start first with Scott.
One moment. Okay, sorry, I'm hearing from the applicant, they said the sound went out completely and it's back now.
Okay, we're now going to hear from the zoning official.
Okay, so I will give a.
That's the phone. Just feel like hot potato. Whoever's speaking has the phone.
You're right.
So, I'm going to give a brief presentation, which I believe will appear on the screen at the far end of the room. Is that correct?
Give me 3 seconds, hopefully. Continue on and I will catch up with you.
One moment, please.
Hang on. Go forth. You're good.
Okay, I'm getting a live text from the applicant saying they cannot hear a thing. Okay, now they're saying you're back because I'm holding the phone immediately adjacent to my mouth. Okay, I'm gonna give this brief presentation. Can you make that a full screen or zoom in perhaps a hair?
I will see what I can do.
That'll work.
Okay.
Next slide, please. So, this is the nature of the variance request is for a variance to the fence heights listed in the zoning ordinance, which I'll highlight in a moment. Very simply, the applicant, in a revised manner, which I've shared with you all in a revised staff report, is asking for a variance to the heights of proposed fences in both the front and rear yards. Next slide, please. Probably a little hard to see, but if you can see the color on that graphic there, the red outline is the side and rear fences. That standard in the zoning ordinance is 5 feet maximum. They're asking for 6 feet on the rear and side fences running up to the front 2 corners of the home. For the front yard, my understanding from the applicant now, and they'll speak shortly to clarify this, is that they are still seeking a height variance from the 3-foot max for picket construction to a 6-foot height max. I will let them speak in a moment to clarify that, but just want to clarify my current understanding of the request. Next slide, please. This is just a quick example of fence examples. I just did a quick shop at Lowe's. This is not an endorsement of Lowe's. So this is just a quick note. Looking on the left there, that's a prefabricated picket fence, 2.83 feet tall. That would meet the 3-foot standard. The one in the middle there is a 3.5-foot high picket fence, prefab. The bottom one there is a 6-foot high standard privacy fence. I have a note there in the upper left-hand corner that if you're making a fence out of any kind of dimensional lumber is always sold in increments of 2 feet. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Just pointing out. Just that fact for consideration of anyone using dimensional lumber for a custom build versus prefab. Next slide, please. These are 2 visuals that were submitted by the applicant as part of their initial application. They described this as a horizontal cedar plank fence. And the gate on the right there was something they were interested in posting as part of their front yard fence within their driveway. Next slide, please. The photo on the upper left is the current view of the home looking from Assembly Drive. You can see it's taken in winter. The other 2 shots were courtesy of a recent real estate listing for the home. I did not go on the property, but was able to grab these. It backs up to an unbuilt right-of-way where I believe there is a community garden and a couple of other encroachments, but that we're not here to discuss that. Next slide, please. And with that, I'd be glad to take any questions, but and I do apologize for the obvious technical difficulties we're having, but in summary, they are asking for a variance to height, not anything about materials per se. The rear yard fences are allowed to be wood, metal, composite, basically a good range of options other than chain link and wire fence. And with that, I'll take any questions that you all have initially, and in a moment, I believe, Josh, we can bring up Sherwin Shalati, the property owner, for audio and or video. First, does the board have any questions? Yes.
Scott, question.
Sorry. Doing the hot potato phone.
Yeah, got it. We got it, Josh. I guess we'll find out when we speak with Sherwin.
Yes.
So he's going horizontal beams, right?
Yes.
That's what he submitted.
Yes, and just to clarify, in the rear yard fences, there is no there's no prescriptive design standard for horizontal versus vertical beams. There's not even a prescriptive standard for wood or metal. You have the option of wood, metal, fiberboard, composite, what have you.
Yeah, the only reason I bring up the question is they show their first thing that you put in was a picket fence with a gap between lattice work.
Yes, that
This
is
is stockade. That's not the same.
correct. Yes, the standard for the front yard per the ordinance is picket construction with visibility, or it's a there is visibility in the fence.
It's slats.
Yes.
So,
Sorry, I guess we should be asking, send it back and forth.
so there will be gaps between the boards on the front? Is that what I'm hearing?
We'll need to. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. That's right. Thank you.
So we'll need to clarify with the applicant very shortly what they're asking for, what their intentions are for the front yard fence.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, no further questions. I guess we're ready to proceed.
Okay, I'm gonna hand this back to you, the chair. Mr. Shalani.
Say hi.
Hello? So it's just to the phone. Can you put that, can you put the phone up to the mic?
To the mic.
Sure.
Try again.
Say again.
Can everyone hear me?
I think so.
Good.
Welcome.
Great. Thank you. I think I'm on a little delay, but we'll do our best over here.
Turn it up.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, technology, we did it. I just want to say how grateful I am for everybody getting together and chat about this tonight. My family and I feel so blessed to be joining a community where we just feel so lucky. And I want to just kind of mention where this came from. When I went by our two daughters, we have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. We are moving from kind of deep Fairview where we have some acreage, and now obviously moving to a place that does not have acreage and is close to a wonderful community, which is what we were looking for. But of course, have these lovely dogs, which I can promise everyone will not be charging anybody at the street level or any other level. So I hope to assuage everybody with that information. But and then I would like to really give my thanks to Molly and the other gentlemen for sharing their thoughts. I really appreciate that and can't wait for a chance to hang out and meet and get to know one another. I was trying to piece together what Scott was saying. Is this my opportunity to just kind of lay it out for everybody, or do you have questions for me that I can answer?
I'm sure we will.
So Sherwood, this is Scott. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what you'll need to do now is just specify and clarify to the board what kind of fence and what height you're looking to do in the front yard, and what kind of fence and what height you're looking to do in the backyard.
In the side.
And
Sure, so,
one moment.
yeah,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes.
So, in our application, we just lay out a request for a 6-foot fence all the way around the property, just to raise that fence height for a few reasons. One of them, we do have 2 lovely boxers who are coming, as I said, from several acres that they've been running around, and we just want to give them more space to play and run around. I travel a lot for my job, leaving my wife and my 2 daughters by themselves very often, and part of just being able to let the dogs roam is taking away those several walks that my wife would have to do with these dogs, and she can take them both on her own. She has to go one by one, and it just can be going to happen on certain days where she's got a lot going on. So, just giving the animals more freedom to roam, and part of that height was just because we do live on Assembly, and that is a very busy road. The busiest road, obviously, is the main thoroughfare in town. So I didn't ever want there to be a chance that the dogs may, hop a 3-foot fence, which they could do because they, like the ice cream truck stalling or something like that. So I just wanted to prevent that from happening. Also, we have, as I mentioned, an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. My 4-year-old is basically a wild animal. She will around the property, and of course, you know, as I mentioned, I'm gone very often, and, you know, privacy is something that, you know, is, just security, I should say, not so much privacy, but security is important. We have, you know, these cameras set up at the house right now that, you know, just captures any coming and goings, and there's, you know, a lot of, random, cars coming in and out of our driveway up through to the back, turn, I think it's like a turnout for some folks, who maybe, didn't need to drive up the road or anything. But, yeah, it's just something that will help bring peace of mind to my family and I, and as far as the construction, I laid out in the application just that horizontal style, which we, you know, were sort of attracted to. I think Scott had clarified for me that the front, style is not subject to a variance application, so I guess that is, there's no discussion around that in terms of, it being picket or not. So, if that's accurate, I get it, I totally respect that. If not, I can, you know, I basically just continue that style all the way around.
So I can clarify for you, so the front, so picket style is the standard for the front. You have the option of doing the horizontal cedar plank as you propose in the rear. The primary clarifying points are that the max height under the zoning ordinance for the front picket fence is 3 feet. So if you're requesting 6 feet, that's the essence of the variance for that. And if you're requesting 6 feet on the rear fence, the standard is 5 feet. So you're asking for a 1 foot variance difference of 6 feet on the rear. Do you understand? Okay. Yes, on the
Sides,
yes. So essentially, in your backyard, your rear lot line, the side lot lines, and the front yard facing lines that align with the front 2 corners of your house could be the 5 foot standard. And of course, your request is to make that 6 feet. The front yard portion, again, picket style construction, the standard is 3 feet. And depending on your continued conversation with the board tonight, our understanding is that you're asking for 6 feet on the front as well. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And the gate, your request is for a 6 foot gate, is that correct? Okay. I'm going to pass the phone now back along to members of the board for any questions they have, unless you have any further testimony you wish to give.
I don't know if everybody on the board knows this or not, but we're actually renovating that house, so we're putting a great deal of thought and care into the renovation of 115 Assembly, which is going to be my family's home, where we're going to raise our daughters. So I hope that sort of helps clarify as far as the property value going down and that sort of thing. I would love to invite anybody to come and check out the spot when we're done, and I'm pretty confident everyone will be very excited about what we've done to improve that property.
In essence, what you're asking for is a 6 foot variance on all sides, back, sides, and front. Is that correct?
Sure, this is Scott, I'll just clarify. That's incorrect. He's asking for a 3 foot height variance on the front and a 1 foot height variance on the rear.
For a total of 6 all the way
That's what
around.
I'm asking, total.
Yes, sorry,
Total all the way around.
just clarify.
Comment maybe there, Mark?
We have a technical question, we have a technical question here. I don't believe this witness has been sworn in. So if you don't mind, we will, swear you in. And I'll,
No, you've got one.
I'm not swearing in it.
Raise your right hand.
You are.
Since the dollars.
Hey Sherman, it's Angie. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
thanks for that, sorry for that mistake. Okay, so let's, bring up some questions.
Just, right, just, I want to give a little history, on Carol, you'll decide on this, but, since we've all been a little convened as a Board of Adjustment, every variance we've granted has been a variance whereby the neighboring owners did not object. We have yet to grant a variance where we had a neighboring owner object to the variance. Whether that matters in this case or not, I'm just telling you what we've done historically so far.
Well, let's debate. Let's debate that issue. This is peculiar to this property.
Right, it's peculiar to this property, and I agree with that. I'm saying that that's why I say it doesn't really matter, but just say that usually we'd like to hear the neighbors, we'd like to hear support from the neighbors, we'd like to hear that everybody's done acceptable. Right. We don't want to create problems in the neighborhood. It doesn't matter, I'm just saying.
No, that's.
I said the history lesson.
Say all
I
you
did.
want.
I down the history lesson, down north.
So mic and phone.
Hi, Sherwin. I'm not addressing this to you, I'm trying to clarify something just as a board member. I haven't been in a case where we were just ruling on a fence. It's always been, like, what do you call it?
Setback?
The setback.
Yes.
Okay. So in a setback ruling, we have this worksheet where the owner would experience a hardship. It goes with the property and not with the owner. It's nothing that the owner created. Is any of that have anything to do with what we're talking about tonight? What is our standard?
So the standards are there in front of you, and the applicant has, the standards are there in front of you, and the applicant has answered those standards in their application, of which there are copies there on the table for any and all board members to review. These were shared with you 3 or 4 weeks ago. And to just clarify your question about the nature of a variance, this is a proposed variance to a dimensional standard. So height is a dimensional standard, setbacks are a dimensional standard, lot size is a dimensional standard. So if that helps clarify the nature of the ask.
Some more questions?
Yes, my name is Danny Sharp. I am trying to get clarity also on the dimensions of the backyard fence. I understand from the variance, from the regulations, it can be 5 feet, is that correct? Okay, it can be 5 feet. Does it have to be a picket fence?
No.
It can be a privacy fence?
Correct.
So we're looking for a variance of 1 foot in the backyard and for a variance of 3 feet in the front yard. And in the front yard, we're looking for a privacy fence, not a picket fence.
No. So just to clarify, they cannot ask for a standard, sorry. So just to clarify, they cannot ask for a variance to the materials prescribed by the ordinance. The ordinance prescribes picket fence construction for the front yard, maximum 3 feet height. So essentially what they, essentially what they could potentially ask for is a 6 foot, a fence taller than 3 feet of picket construction, if that makes sense.
Just a follow-up question. I would be curious to know why we have a 5-foot fence ordinance instead of a 6-foot fence ordinance. Could anybody speak to that? Because it seems like a 5-foot fence ordinance is trying to still allow visibility into the backyard. Mason, that is...
You want your, Danny? Okay. Yes, that is true. Thank you. That is the reason, so that there is some visibility in the backyard. And not necessarily total privacy or at least it's felt from an aesthetic standpoint that of basically building a stockade around a piece of property is not aesthetically pleasing, and that a 5-foot height is normally high enough to deter any dogs or to provide all the functioning need of a fence, which would still be aesthetically pleasing, although the ordinance does give folks a variety of materials that they can use for their rear yard fence.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
So with the picket fence in the front, we were given three, Scott gave us 3 examples, one of which had absolutely no, that looked like solid wood with no gaps in between. Would that be considered a picket fence?
Let me just say, and this is a point I like to make for this group tonight. The ordinance requires, what the ordinance permits in the front yard is a decorative fence. That's the operative order. It suggests that a picket fence is a decorative fence. But I would frankly tell you that a 6-foot high picket fence erected around the perimeter of the front yard with the purpose of keeping dogs in is not a decorative fence at all. It's a functional fence and not what was intended by the ordinance or permitted by the ordinance as a decorative fence. And so, although he's increasing to 6 feet the height of the picket fence, I don't think it remains at that height what the ordinance contemplates as a decorative fence.
With the gaps.
With gaps without, when it's 6 feet high and it's around the entire perimeter of the property.
But my question is a picket fence, my question, I'm sorry to you, is could a picket fence be one in which there are no gaps? Is that a definition of a picket fence?
No. There would need to be gaps, but it could be a wrought iron fence, again,
But there would be gaps.
it would be gaps, it would be decorative.
Thank you.
A picket fence is not a privacy fence.
Correct.
Use handicaps.
Hey, Sherwin. Okay, I'm talking to the mic and the telephone. I'm looking at the second of the variance worksheet, which says the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as location, size, or topography, hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood or the general public, may not be the basis for granting a variance. And for that reason, as much as I love boxers, and when I had my boxer, I had a huge fence. But for that reason, I would not be able to support the variance, and I just wanted to let you know that.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a motion then?
Is there any more discussion?
Well, did we want to hear from?
Yes.
We had the idea of let's see
Go
here.
ahead.
Can I say something? I'm Kitty Boucher, and I live gotten 5 calls about this, and for each call, I say that's up to the Board of Adjustment, but I can tell you there's a lot of talk in town about this fence, and a lot of unhappy people at the thought of seeing the 6-foot fence as they come through the gate.
I have,
Okay, none of this testimony is sworn in. If you, we usually do this at the end, but we'll do it now.
Mark,
Somebody down there speaking.
We got our board member gets to talk first.
Go ahead.
Mrs. Slaggy, I would have trouble supporting this as well, but I would like to offer a substitution for your fence in front. What about an invisible fence? Your dogs couldn't get through. It wouldn't get, a 4-year-old cannot climb a picket fence. A child will be fine. The dogs will not get near the fence because you set the invisible fence back behind the picket fence, so they wouldn't get out. I've got an invisible fence and I love it. It's great. And it would be less expensive than full-grown, 6-foot high fence. That's the thought. Thank you.
Can I make a motion now?
There's literally a 6-foot privacy fence directly across the street from the applicant's house.
The applicant, Miss Thielman's on the side. On the side. Miss Thielman has one on the side.
Robert, the applicant was requesting to speak one more time. Will the board allow?
Speak as much as you want. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir. Your turn.
Okay, thank you. No, I just wanted to say that by no means did we intend to ruffle any feathers in the community. You can imagine a new family coming in to a wonderful storage community like Montreat. We have so much reverence and respect for everyone and want to be a part of the fabric of this community. So I just want to say for everyone listening and for the folks who are seated there that unfortunately can't be there today, that this was simply a conversation between Scott and I. Scott explained to me how to apply for a variance, and I filled out an application. So it was by no means something, that I wanted people to get upset about. I didn't even think in my mind kind of what the community just went through with all the hotel stuff. I wasn't a part of the community at the time, so I'm sure there's some, trauma from all that. And it was by no means our intention to bring more, bring all those emotions back up. So to whoever got, kind of bad out of shape with this, my sincere apologies. I'm just doing, what I think is best for my family and I, and we cannot wait to be there with everyone, regardless of how we vote.
Mr. Chairman, I move we disapprove this variance or deny the variance request.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just appreciate your kind words, and we want to welcome you to the community, definitely. And I think that's how everybody feels. And the fact that you are very interested in maintaining that harmony is much appreciated.
Any more discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Motion is to approve or deny.
No, that wasn't the motion. The motion was to deny.
Okay, I stand corrected. The motion is to deny the variance request. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank
point, since we've already voted, Sherwin.
Oh, just there. Where's the phone?
Keep the phone close.
Okay.
So, even though we, denied it, the discussion, the actual application itself, it didn't reflect exactly what the ultimate was. So, for the rules and so forth, I'd like to, have you seen this section, 612 of the, correction? It's 618. That would be a good thing to look at if you go on the Town of Montreat site and look at the rules. And it's pretty clear about what you can do and can't do and what variances allowed. On the front, you might consider staying within within that feet from the side of the building back. It looks like there was no issue for a high fence from the side of the building back, but the front is just, and according to what we read in the code, that's basically what it says. And we support you, and we welcome you, but I would suggest maybe you get with Scott and you guys clarify, finish this thing out, and make it the final look, and then everything will be good.
Sure, yes, So yeah, just to follow on the chair's comments, any property owner on any site in Montreat, if they wish to build a fence either in their front or rear yards, if they meet the standards clear and simple of the ordinance that's permitted by it.
And the other opinion that I have on your comment, sir, I'm not sure about when this other fence was. However, this runs with the property, so I don't know if back then they got a variance at that point. If they did, it's not peculiar to this property, and so tonight we're just talking about this property. And that,
I just find it difficult that someone new coming to town, he's bringing a family, he's not connected in Montreat, and then it's a huge outrage that he wants to build a fence, and you literally look across the street at the exact same fences.
It's on the side of the house, and he doesn't have standing.
and thank you for your opinion, sir.
Thank you for your service.
Okay, go ahead, Scott.
So you all have made a decision regarding the variance, and so you are free to discuss any of the other agenda items if you wish to have further discussion on them or any further comment. Otherwise, you are welcome to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn and a second. Any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?